Which Disneyland restaurants are way too overhyped? Which ones are 10 out of 10, would go again? And which are you going to remember for a lifetime? Let's travel to the West Coast today and find out. Hey everybody, it's AJ for Disney Food Blog. We are back in Disneyland today to find out which table service restaurants in the parks are going to be the most worth your while during your upcoming Disneyland visit. For this list, we're going to be looking strictly at sit-down table service restaurants, as well as a few lounges, and scoring them on a 1 to 10 scale, with 1 being the worst and 10 being, oh my goodness, if it were legal, I'd live in this restaurant. Each of these restaurants can be found in either Disneyland Park, Disney California Adventure, or the Disneyland hotels. We're not going to talk about downtown Disney in this video, just parks and hotels. Also, quick service, not covered in this video, we'll do that in another one. Keep in mind that everyone's dining experiences do vary, so what we love, you might not, and vice versa. That's why we always list off the pros and cons for each restaurant, whether it's our absolute favorite or one we'd gladly pass on, because we want you to consider not only our personal opinions, but other important dining factors that could cater more toward your travel group. And please let us know in the comments what you think we got right and what you think we got wrong, because everybody watching can benefit from your experiences too. Now, if you want to keep this list handy, make sure to drop us your email at disneyfoodblog.com/bestdisneylandmeals, and we're going to send you the full PDF of everything we talk about today. Got it? Good. Let's get started. Beginning with a bang here, we're going to Carthage Circle Restaurant and Lounge in Disney California Adventure. This will take you back to the golden age of Hollywood, when the former Carthage Circle Theater still stood strong and premiered soon-to-be classic films. Ever heard of a little animated film called Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs? Yeah, Carthage Circle is where this first feature-length animated feature debuted, and the rest is history. Carthage Circle Restaurant is one of those iconic dining experiences where you pay more for the atmosphere rather than the overall meal. Not to say what you order won't be good. There are several Southern California-inspired options for you to choose from here, like the signature thick-cut pork chop, the warm cheddar Parker House rolls, amazing, and the seasonal selections that rotate out to reflect what is market-inspired. Not to mention, you got plenty of themed cocktails to choose from to chase your food down, and they're really, really well done as well. You got the Carthage Manhattan, the Ginger Rogers, get it, gin and apricot liqueur, and the Ernest Stackery made with rum, maraschino liqueur, and lime grapefruit juice. But is this food gonna absolutely blow you away? Well, maybe, but it's not guaranteed. When we've eaten here in the past, we've been satisfied with our entrees, but kind of disappointed in the side options that felt like they weren't really reaching their potential. Like a hush puppy at a restaurant like this should knock it out of the park, right? Not just be okay. But back to what I was saying before, the atmosphere is what you're paying for here. From the moment you step into this space, you're gonna feel like you need to hold your pinky out, even when you take a sip of water. Everything inside the restaurant is glamorous old Hollywood, and you can see that in the warm golden colors, the wood accents, the lighting, and the decor. This can be a great setting for a hot date night or a special occasion, but if you're looking for an atmosphere that's going to entertain the kids, this is not the best place to spend your money. The good thing about Carthage Circle Restaurant is that you do have the option of grabbing a first-come, first-served seat in their adjacent lounge, if you're just looking for a quick drink and bite, but not necessarily an entire dining experience. To be honest, I often like grabbing a seat at their lounge even more, especially when I'm sat out on that side patio with those lovely views of Buena Vista Street. So pros for this one: beautiful setting, rich with movie history, great for those looking to celebrate a special occasion or have a romantic night out in DCA, and it provides a nice chill break away from the theme park crowds. Cons: it's very expensive, takes a huge chunk of time out of your park day to experience if you're having a full meal inside the restaurant, and it's not the best for those traveling with younger kids who want to just know where Mickey Mouse is. Rating on this one is about an 8.5 out of 10. Because when it's good, it's great, but when it's having a struggle bus day, it can definitely be down in the 7-8 range. Next up is Lamplight Lounge. Pixar Pier is a bright, colorful, and cheery part of Disney California Adventure, so it only makes sense for them to have a waterfront restaurant and lounge reflecting the same attitude. Now, old school Disneylanders knew this as Ariel's Grotto and the Cove Bar. This got completely revamped and Paradise Pier was changed into Pixar Pier, and now it is a Pixar-themed restaurant, both upstairs and down, and there's no more characters. Lamplight Lounge offers up a California gastropub selection of eats and cocktails, and there's a lot to unpack when it comes to this place, both good and not so good. Let's start with the good though. Once again, we're looking at a restaurant lounge that has a lot of style. This space is themed around the art and animation of Pixar films, the creation of them versus the films themselves. You'll find several collectible knickknacks on the shelves, movie posters, concept art, and we love those little character sketch coasters that are basically free souvenirs that we just love to keep. And if you're lucky, you might get to catch a sneak peek at the lounge's exclusive office room. This hidden dining room can only be accessed through a secret vault passageway. Once you're inside, you'll be in a private space made for a maximum of 13 guests, with cozy furniture, sketches of Pixar animators, and hanging game boards. This is a room you gotta make advance reservations for, but it never hurts to ask your server if you can take a sneak peek into the space if no one happens to be dining there at the time of your visit, just to check things out. Now, there's no shortage of drink options here at Lamplight. You've got cocktails, mocktails, and spirits galore. Some stick around on the menu, some rotate out for the season and need to be brought back ASAP because we miss them a lot. And depending on where you're seated, that will influence your menu items. So if you dine upstairs in the lounge, you can enjoy a slightly different menu, featuring select items from the full menu and a few additional options too. This experience, called boardwalk dining, is available for walk-up guests, so you don't always need a reservation to experience it. But the walk-up experience is very popular. If you're interested, you can check for walk-up availability and even join a waitlist using the Mobile Dine walk-up waitlist on the Disneyland app. Or if that's not available, you can go straight to the host stand and ask if there's currently a walk-up waitlist that you can join. Sometimes it'll take a couple of visits. We've tried a couple of times in the morning and there's been no availability, and then there was a cancellation and we were able to get in. As far as the food is concerned, some of it's great, some of it not my favorite. Notable options, of course, are those lobster nachos that got transferred over from Cove Bar when the change happened, and the Kung Pao Bao, although be warned, these have a little bit of a kick to them, of course. But my personal favorite here are those potato skins. They are truly amazing. Now, these small bite offerings can be a lot of money for what you're actually getting, and that's the kicker. The best bang for your buck will more than likely be those nachos. And even on the main menu, you don't have a whole lot of different options to choose from, especially for the kids who either have their choice of a PB&J or a cheesy pasta, which may be right up your kid's alley. All in all, I keep coming back to this place because it's beautiful. I love the decor, the waterfront views, just the overall vibes. But as far as getting your money's worth out of this place, I'd prefer paying for a full-on meal someplace else rather than spending the same amount on a single shareable portion. Pros: great theming and stunning views, extensive cocktail list, and even if you miss getting an advanced dining reservation for this one, you may still have the opportunity to experience the walk-up boardwalk dining upstairs. Cons: you're paying a lot of money for those lounge bite portions, and it's not great for those looking for hearty entrees that'll keep you full until your next meal. Getting on the walk-up waitlist can be touch and go, so you may have to swing back around multiple times just to see if it opens up, and if you can't enter onto the mobile waitlist, so book those reservations ASAP. Rating on Lamplight, 8 out of 10. Now we're coming at you with another elegant setting inside Disney California Adventure. Wine Country Trattoria is decked out in Tuscan influence and has a menu that offers up classic Italian cuisine, so expect to find things like rustic bruschetta, chicken parm, spaghetti bolognese with meatballs, just safe, hearty options you can pair nicely with a wine flight if you so desire. The best seats in the house here are definitely out on the terrace, where you'll find both shaded and unshaded seating options. The terrace is like stepping into a Mediterranean garden with lots of plants and winding vines and fountains. On the second floor of Wine Country Trattoria, Disneyland's Magic Key pass holders can escape to the Magic Key Terrace, which is an exclusive outdoor lounge for pass holders only, although pass holders can bring along up to a total of 6 guests per party. The terrace has a great view of Cars Land, along with a menu of tasty appetizers separate from the restaurant's main menu. But back to Wine Country Trattoria. And overall, if you're looking for a comfy, cozy dining atmosphere and some hearty portions of Italian food, Wine Country Trattoria is gonna hook you up. But don't expect anything adventurous here that you wouldn't be able to find back at your Italian restaurant at home. Pros on this one: good for those looking for a more familiar Italian-style meal, lots of different wine selections, and a nice atmosphere. Cons: forgetful entrees, not a huge menu, options are pretty limited, and not the best for those traveling with little kids unless they're perfectly happy with a bunch of spaghetti. Rating here is 7 out of 10. And it's time to jump from Disney California Adventure over to the park that started it all, Disneyland. We're starting off our table service food tour here by stepping into the River Belle Terrace. Now, River Belle is charming. If you sit inside, you'll have a quaint little garden feel. It's very Victorian with its white iron chairs and floral decor. You might think it's a little outdated. I don't know, it depends on how you feel about that kind of decor. And if you're seated outside, you'll get a lovely view out across the rivers of America. It's gorgeous. Now, for all my Southern food-loving friends, you're going to feel right at home here. Southern fare is served here for breakfast, lunch, and dinner with options like the barbecue brisket Southern breakfast skillet, the fried chicken sandwich, the Southern fried game hen, the burnt ends grilled cheese, which was my favorite, and the seasonal monkey bread. As far as the main entrees are concerned, food is rather hit and miss here. The sandwiches are usually going to be a safe bet, especially if you go the beef brisket route, which will give you a whole smoky, savory flavor all packed into a messy handheld meal. But we've also come across food that wasn't all that flavorful, like the skillet mac and cheese was kind of disappointing. But if you're looking for a place with quaint respite and comfort food, Riverbell Terrace might prove to be a worthy reservation for you. Pros on this one: quaint and cozy garden atmosphere with a view of rivers of America, and the prices here aren't too bad, so that's something to keep in mind. It's best for those looking for big plates of comfort food, and I will say this, the seasonal monkey bread can sometimes be amazing and sometimes be a huge dry disappointment. We've eaten there multiple times. Occasionally it's good, occasionally it's bad, so that is kind of a pro and a con. It sort of straddles those two for us. There's nothing worse than being super excited about a dessert and having it look gorgeous, but be totally dry and kind of stale and not great. But we have had experiences where that monkey bread is absolutely astounding and the ice cream sort of melts into the warm monkey bread and it's great. So, take your chances with that one. Cons on this one, there's literally no bathroom. Okay, seriously, if you need to use the restroom while you're here, you're gonna have to walk to one of the nearby ones in Adventureland or Frontierland. That's because this spot was a quick service location until just a couple of years ago, so it wasn't really built with being a table service restaurant in mind. So if you need to go to the bathroom, you got a little bit of a trek. That's all I'm saying. And it can be crowded once you get to where you're going. So rating on this one, 8 out of 10. And we've made it to probably Disneyland's most popular restaurant, Blue Bayou, over there in New Orleans Square. But does it deserve to be the most popular? Okay, so it's tucked into that corner of New Orleans Square in Disneyland. It's that famous bluey green facade. Once again, I gotta give props to the West Coast for another classy restaurant environment. In the main dining area, you'll step right into a nighttime ambiance with soft twinkling lights, candlelit tables, mossy trees. Best of all, it's a clear view of the Pirates of the Caribbean boats that are floating on those swampy bayou waters. So what's on the menu here? Cajun and Creole eats, of course. You're down in the bayou after all. Some of the items you'll be able to order include chicken gumbo, it's really good, vanilla bourbon creme brulee, and Disneyland's food namesake, the Monte Cristo. Heads up, it's going to be more expensive here than at Cafe Orleans, which we're going to talk about in just a second. $22 versus $29. And note, while we were looking over the Blue Bayou menus, the Monte Cristo is no longer featured as an option for dinner, just lunch. So that may be something you want to keep in mind since menus for any table service restaurant can vary between meal times. So, does Blue Bayou deserve its hype? Sure. I know, sounds really convincing, right? But seriously, I do enjoy this place. But is it my favorite ever? No, the food can be mediocre, almost like banquet food. But the atmosphere is lovely as long as you're not seated back by the kitchen or the bathrooms, because that totally ruins the mood. So ask for a seat right up by the water if you can get it. Pros here, best for those who want a Cajun Creole fix and seriously incredible ambiance. Sometimes it even has dining packages with specialty meals, like for Disneyland's upcoming Throwback Night. Cons on this one, reservations can be very hard to come by, so make sure to book those resis 60 days in advance to improve your chances of getting a table. And it's also not the best for picky eaters. Don't want to dine in the dark? Then pass on this one and find a restaurant with more natural light. Rating on Blue Bayou is an 8 out of 10. And we've come to my favorite restaurant in Disneyland. Looking for a cheaper table service alternative to Blue Bayou? That's where Cafe Orleans swoops in to save the day. Cafe Orleans is also located in New Orleans Square and also serves Creole-inspired eats like the famous Monte Cristo sandwich. You can get that there too with pommes frites, and you can also get Mickey-shaped beignets here. When beignets are available, that is. Currently, beignets are not listed on the Café Orleans menu, which could have something to do with the Mint Julep Bar, aka the beignet providers, being closed while Tiana's Palace, the new Disneyland quick service, is being constructed. These two are right next to each other, so it's possible that they use the same kitchen for the beignets. But never fear, you don't have to go completely beignet-less. Beignets and mint juleps can still be found at the Royal Street Veranda right now, which is also located in New Orleans Square. Now, unlike Blue Bayou, you're not going to get that dimly lit atmosphere at Café Orleans, complete with the Pirates of the Caribbean boats sailing by. But what Café Orleans will give you is delicious, cheaper eats and quality service. The main draw here, of course, is that less expensive Monte Cristo, and here they've got two versions, the regular with ham and turkey and cheese, and then the battered and fried triple cheese Monte Cristo with brie, Swiss, and mozzarella that doesn't have any meat in it, and that's $22 as well. Note that back in the day, the Monte Cristo was served as a full sandwich, like basically 4 little fried up pieces, and you could order those Parmesan garlic pommes frites on the side for an extra cost. In fact, you had to. That was the law. I don't know what you're talking about. When Disneyland reopened from the pandemic closures, it switched to serving a half sandwich, so 2 quarters of the sandwich, served with a smaller portion of pommes frites automatically on the side. See, people were ordering the sandwich and fries to share, so this way Disney makes more money for serving the same amount of food. It is what it is. Note that the pommes frites come with a gorgeous remoulade that is truly spectacular, so order extra. Though the options are rather limited here, the high-quality entrees and decent price points do make up for the quantity of options, which is why we love it so much. Pros here, of course, the Monte Cristo. It's a solid, less expensive alternative to Blue Bayou, excellent service, and lovely outdoor seating as long as it's a nice day, with a view of the rivers of America. Cons, it's small. Some may consider this atmosphere cozy, and others may get a little claustrophobic, especially if they're sitting indoors. If you're not into the Cajun eats, you'll probably want to eat elsewhere as well. Might not be the best setting for kids, though there is a good variety of kids options on the menu, and they'll love those beignets. I've brought kids here of all ages, so it works okay, but definitely check the menu and make sure it's going to serve for what your kids need. Rating here, 10 out of 10. Now, depending on what time you decide to eat at Plaza Inn inside Disneyland Park will determine how different your dining experience is going to wind up being. During lunch and dinner hours, the Plaza Inn serves as a cafeteria-style eatery with a rich Victorian atmosphere and plenty of indoor seating. Pot roast and pasta are going to be available for you to pile high on your plate, but what this spot is really famous for at lunch and dinner is its fried chicken, which always comes out crispy, juicy, and delicious. But I know you're saying to me right now, AJ, we know Plaza Inn is amazing, but you said there's no quick service in this video. Correct. Now here's where things get different. If you book a table here for breakfast, you're going to be dropped into the character dining experience called Minnie and Friends Breakfast in the Park. And that means you'll get the chance to meet Minnie Mouse and her garden, along with a rotating cast of characters like Chip, Dale, Daisy, Pooh, Tigger, Pluto. Sometimes Captain Hook is there, sometimes the fairy godmother. It gets real weird at Disneyland character meals. You really just never know who's going to show up, and it's definitely not the same characters every time. So morning, breakfast, table service. Lunch and dinner, counter service or quick service. Plaza Inn has always treated our team really well in the past. It's got a lot of options and good options, which can sometimes be hard to come by with those theme park buffet settings. And as far as breakfast is concerned, you can knock out lots of character meet and greets in a single meal without having to worry about standing in line for those later, which is great for parents and kids alike. Pros here, great for families with tons of different taste preferences. And if you go for lunch or dinner, please get the fried chicken. Just do it. You will be very, very happy. And tons of fan favorite characters featured during breakfast. Cons here, breakfast foods aren't super adventurous or anything, just your typical breakfast buffet spread. For lunch and dinner, this isn't your typical sit-down restaurant either. It's more of a fast casual setting, and that's great for those who want a quick service and table service feel, but may feel rushed for those who just want a nice, long sit-down meal in the AC. And just remember, character dining is breakfast only. Rating for Plaza Inn, 10 out of 10. What can I say? Love this place. All right, now it's time to step out of the parks and into the Disneyland hotels for even more dining options. First up in the hotel lineup, we've got GCH Craftsman Bar inside Disneyland's Grand Californian Hotel and Spa. GCH Craftsman is a poolside bar that doubles as a chill, table service hangout. And it's set in a very open air space, uses lots of natural wood and stone and brick elements, and that give it that craftsman-like appeal to stay true to its name, and to the theming of the hotel. Now, the menu provides a good variety of entrees like carnitas quesadillas, customizable poke bowls, a Mediterranean Wagyu burger, and a specialty hot dog of the month. In the past, we've seen seasonal hot dogs like the mac and cheese dog, the banh mi dog, and the gordita dog, which was wrapped in a grilled flatbread and topped with black bean spread, melty cheese, and pico de gallo. We always get them and do a review for you over on Disney Food Blog. But this is a bar we're talking about here, so what you're really going to want to check out is that extensive cocktail menu. Craftsman Bar has tons of familiar drinks with unique twists like the passion fruit mojito, the vanilla mango mule, and the banana daiquiri, but I was sold at passion fruit, to be honest. For those staying at the Grand Californian, this is a chill place to grab a bite and a spirit before or after taking a dip in the pool. But if you're not staying at the Grand Cali, you can still check this place out, but you'll have to decide if it's really going to be worth choosing over someplace else. The vibes are chill, but the entrees can be just as pricey as some of the nicer table services on property. But it's still nice to know anyone can swing on by here, whether you're staying as a guest at the Grand Californian or not. You just won't be able to swim any laps afterwards if you're not. Pros here, extensive list of unique drinks, good variety of food choices, which is more than you can say about lots of pool bars out there, and good vibes only. Cons here can be pretty pricey for what you're actually getting, and there's nothing all that themed or interesting about the food. It's just pretty much like a Southern California cuisine kind of location. It also may be kind of out of the way for those who aren't already guests at Grand California. Now, of course, it's a very walkable distance from Disneyland or Disney California Adventure. And if you're at Disney California Adventure, don't forget you can just exit the park right into the Grand Californian. So that's definitely the easier park from which to get here. And another con is that it's all outdoors. Yes, it's covered, but it is all outdoors. So on those rare cold snaps or heat wave days in Southern California, it might be a little uncomfortable. Rating on this one, about a 6 out of 10. Now let's head right next door to Napa Rose. This is an award-winning signature service location inside the Grand Californian. It's set in a dining room with a very similar theme to the hotel itself, so expect lots of warm, muted tones, massive craftsman-style windows, and an open kitchen where you can watch the chefs hard at work. Now, when I say this place is sophisticated, I don't mean stuffy. The atmosphere here is high-end, but it still manages to keep things casual and cozy. This is definitely California sophisticated versus Paris sophisticated. For the most part, Napa Rose is a fine dining dinner experience. This is the fanciest restaurant on property except for Club 33, which is that members-only location in Disneyland. Now, the menu at Napa changes seasonally to feature items made up of California's freshest ingredients, but in the past, we've had options like portobello mushroom bisque, maple leaf duck breast, the truffled mac and cheese, which is definitely famous here, and the Tahitian vanilla cheesecake. Every week, the restaurant also features a different chef's 4-course tasting menu, meaning you can choose whether you want to dine from the restaurant's prix selections or you can choose to pay a la carte, which is a great mix of options because a lot of times you don't get a choice between prix or a la carte, so I love that they do this here. If you want to have an even more intimate dining experience, you can also book the chef's counter. This offers 2 seatings per night and has 8 seats, 4 on one side and 4 on the other, where you'll be right there up close and personal with the restaurant's open kitchen. If you dine at the chef's counter, you can still order from the regular menu. However, for a fixed price, the chef will design a custom multi-course menu just for you and, when in Rome. Didn't make dining reservations on time? You can always try to get a seat in the Napa Rose Lounge instead, which I tend to do all the time. Lounge availability is on a first-come, first-served basis and still gives you those comfy yet elegant vibes while also allowing you to still order just about anything you want off the main menu. It's a great option for those who decide on the day of their visit that they really want to go all out on a nice meal. Now, along with the food, you're also going to be in wine country. Napa Rose has one of Disneyland's finest wine collections, so you don't have to stress over whether or not the signature restaurant will be short on its beverage options. And like I said, Napa Rose is a fine dining dinner experience for the most part, but here's where it starts to change up. From 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. on Thursdays through Mondays, Napa Rose hosts a character dining experience called Disney Princess Breakfast Adventures. This 2-hour experience is one of the only places you're going to be able to meet and greet with the princesses during your meal on Disneyland property. Visiting princesses rotate out regularly, but more often than not, you'll probably see characters like Rapunzel, Jasmine, Ariel, Belle, Tiana, and Aurora. Now, Napa Rose takes their meet and greets very seriously, meaning this ain't no drive-by experience where the princesses say a quick hello, take a snapshot, and then go elsewhere. Your kid is going to be able to spend a good amount of time with each of these characters. Because once your meal is complete, you'll head on outside for some princess quality time, which might mean you get to read a story with Belle, or learn warrior poses with Mulan, or engage in other fun games and activities alongside the other princesses making up the posse that day. Kids will also receive special keepsakes like an autograph book and either a crown-shaped necklace or a sword and shield set for when your castle back home needs defending. Breakfast is made up of 3 courses, including cold starters, a buffet of hot entrees, and satisfyingly sweet desserts. And though the starter pastries and desserts are definitely elevated and themed, and nothing like your typical hotel continental breakfast, the hot entrees are very much what you might expect from other breakfast offerings around property. So I bet you can imagine that if you get to spend this much time with princesses and you get take-home gifts too, that this is going to be pretty pricey, and you would be right. This is going to set you back $125 per person for kids and adults both. Not kidding. So if you've got a family of 4 you got to pay for, you're looking at a minimum of $500 for breakfast. For me, I'd much prefer taking the fine dining dinner route. I just really have a hard time swallowing that price point for breakfast when I'd be just as satisfied grabbing a bacon, egg, and cheese croissant over at Disneyland's Jolly Holiday. That being said, if you've got kids who'd be absolutely over the moon thrilled to have a more personal interaction with their favorite princess, or maybe it's a special birthday or a celebration, then I don't know, maybe this is a big once-in-a-lifetime splurge that you can give them. But you're definitely going to get a much better, higher-end meal if you invest in Napa Rose's dinner. Pros for this one: the most personal character interaction you're going to find anywhere on Disneyland property at that breakfast. Dinner has both prix and a la carte dining options, so you get choices, my friends. And the meals I've had here for dinner are truly some of the best meals I've had, not just in a Disney park, but anywhere. Cons on this one: super duper pricey, both breakfast and dinner. Breakfast is 2 hours out of your morning, which could eat into your park day, and kids probably aren't going to be as interested in the fine dining dinner environment. Overall rating for this, though, 9 out of 10. Now, one last Grand Californian table service restaurant that you're going to want to keep on your radar is Storytellers Cafe. Storytellers is aptly named. Around the dining room, you're going to find paintings celebrating the art of storytelling, which also features classic stories with a California setting. Again, you've got a very craftsman style vibe here. You've got stained glass, metal accents, chunky wood. Now, this is a great atmosphere here. All the hanging lanterns dangling from the ceiling and copper posts definitely add to the overall cozy ambiance. Storytellers Cafe has a wide spread of California-inspired buffet options for breakfast and brunch, and for dinner. Options could include things like breakfast nachos and 4-cheese quiche. This place also makes mean mimosas for breakfast and brunch. Once again, this is a restaurant with character dining for breakfast and breakfast only. Oh, and brunch, whenever brunch is offered instead. Mickey's Tales of Adventure Breakfast and Brunch feature tableside visits from Mickey and Pals with characters like Mickey, Minnie, Pluto, and Chip and Dale. And guess what? They're all going to be dressed up and ready for a grand adventure, just like what you'll find when you crack open your favorite book. And I love Mickey's socks. I don't know why, they're just too cute. Breakfast and brunch rotate out, with breakfast served Mondays through Thursdays and brunch offered Fridays through Sundays and select holidays. Something I really love during brunch here is that they actually have cereal milk that you can drink, which is basically like milk that, you know, when your cereal sits in it for a long time, and it's like that really sweet, I don't know, it's good. You should try it. Now, because the characters aren't offered during dinner, this is one of those rare instances when dinner is actually cheaper than breakfast and brunch. So if you want a less pricey meal, you may want to actually book a meal here later rather than earlier. But then again, your kids won't be able to meet their great explorer friends. So if that's important to them, you may want to budget back a little more for a morning meal inside the hotel. Dinner also has some great options that you may enjoy more than breakfast or brunch, like the selection of carved meats like the slow roasted prime rib with creamy horseradish, a rotating selection of flatbreads, and a full pasta station for noodle customization goodness. The roasted corn chowder, made with rotisserie chicken, bacon, and cilantro, is a specialty served option that I love, so if you're into those creamy, flavorful soup options, be sure to ask your server for a bowlful, because you're more than likely not going to find it on the main buffet lineup. But you can just eat around the cilantro if you don't like it, like I don't. But big question, would I up and leave the parks for a bit just to eat a meal here? Possibly. Again, it's pretty easy to get from California Adventure into Grand Californian because there's literally an entrance right to the park from that hotel. And even from Disneyland, it's not that far a walk. So if you want a character breakfast and Minnie and friends at the plaza aren't doing it for you, then this could be it. The theming is real nice here. The buffet options are plentiful. They've got that bread pudding with caramel sauce and creme anglaise, and it's incredible. So pros for this one, lots of options for families to choose from, for picky and adventurous eaters alike. Very, very good theming, and the characters are absolutely adorable in their explorer garb. Cons, if you're more of a brunch fiend, you'll have to time your visit wisely, otherwise you're apt to miss it earlier on in the week. Also, breakfast and brunch, remember, are more expensive than dinner possibly, but that doesn't necessarily mean the options are more unique. You're definitely paying for the characters here. And it's not great for those looking for something light to eat. Again, when you choose any kind of buffet, just assume you'll need to eat platefuls to actually get your money's worth. Rating on storytellers? Probably an 8 out of 10, but possibly a 7.5 out of 10 for dinner. A cozy fire and a glass of wine. What more could you ask for from Grand Californian's Hearthstone Lounge? Side note, how many times have I used the word cozy during this video? Apparently Disneyland's got a plethora of comfy dining options for you to choose from, and there's nothing wrong with that, and I love it. So this fireside lounge is themed to look like an expansive lodge with its soaring ceilings and earthy decor. And there's also a rustic and modern bar made with wood accents and elaborate decorative carvings. Again, totally craftsman style all over the place in here. I could seriously camp out here all day and all night if allowed. This place is stunning. Not to mention it's got plenty of booths and tables and bar seats for guests, so you don't have to worry about not finding a place to settle down in here. At least not all the time. And when you're visiting Disneyland, ample amounts of seating and table space definitely becomes a big selling point. And yeah, you can order so many different types of drinks here, like the lemon lavender martini, the prickly pear margarita, the moonshine tonic, with sage maple paprika syrup, what? But you can also get a full meal here too. Along with seasonal offerings, you can get eats and bites like the chorizo poutine, the flaky buttermilk chicken sandwich, and the Parmesan crusted grilled cheese. But what the DFB team usually turns to are full-sized artisanal pizzas. You can even grab a charcuterie pizza here, topped with premium pepperoni, prosciutto, salami, fennel sausage, arugula, fire-roasted tomatoes, Grand Padano, and aged provolone, all for $27. And best of all, these provisions are served until midnight, so if you're in need of a late-night meal, now you know where to go. Just keep in mind that pizzas stop being served after 11 p.m., which could still be just enough time to fill you up before bed. Pros? Full artisanal pizzas can prove to be one of the cheapest ways to feed your whole group. It's cozy, of course, and late night offerings just in case you missed grabbing dinner in the parks. Cons for this one, not exactly an exciting environment for kids to hang out in, and it's not really worth the full trek out here if you're not already a guest at Grand Californian. Not a whole lot of options here either for plant-based eaters. Rating for Hearthstone, 9 out of 10. Now, heading over to the Disneyland Hotel, it is time to talk about Goofy's Kitchen. You know how over on the East Coast, Disney's Contemporary Resort has Chef Mickey's? Well, the West Coast has their own version of that, but instead of Mickey being the star of the show, it is Goofy. Goofy's Kitchen is one of the most high-energy dining experiences in Disneyland, and unlike all the other character dining experiences we've talked about today, you can meet your favorite pals during breakfast and dinner here. But who should you expect to find here, aside from our main man, Mr. Goof, who's always there? Well, characters tend to vary, but more often than not, we'll see Pluto, Chip 'n Dale, and Minnie helping Goofy run things around here. And this is yet another Disneyland buffet, and the options here are definitely catered to kids, though you'll probably get a kick out of them too. For breakfast, you can find stuff like Mickey-shaped pancakes, Mickey-shaped waffles, and Goofy's famous peanut butter pizza, which is one of my favorites. This is exactly what you'd think it'd be, peanut butter and jelly slathered on a pizza crust, and kids and I go wild for it. And for dinner, there's Goofy-roni and cheese, of course, more assorted pizzas, a self-serve frozen yogurt station, and several other solid options for choosier taste buds. Because this restaurant is so family-friendly, reservations can be hard to come by, so you'll have to remember to book a table here early. But if you're trying to look for a more romantic setting, I don't need to tell you this just ain't it. In terms of comparison, I'd probably prefer Goofy's Kitchen over Chef Mickey's in Orlando when it comes to the different buffet options at least. However, Goofy's Kitchen does tend to feel more crowded and less spaced out than Chef Mickey's, if you can believe that, making the high energy in this place feel way more in your face. Pros here, fantastic choice for families, great for choosy eaters, and character dining available for breakfast and dinner. Cons, not great for couples looking for a date night environment, just gonna say that. Reservations can be difficult to get and also not the best option for those looking for more adventurous eats. Also, this is a bit of a trek, a longer trek away from the parks. Still walkable, but it's going to take you between 10 and 15 minutes, at least. Rating for Goofies, 8 out of 10. And did you know there's an enchanted tiki bar hiding out at the Disneyland Hotel? Of course there is. Its name is Trader Sam's. If you're familiar with the Disney World side of things, then you probably already have an idea of what Trader Sam's is like, considering you can find its sibling bar, Trader Sam's Grog Grotto, over at Disney's Polynesian Village Resort in Disney World. And after traveling the world for over 5 decades, Trader Sam has put together all the artifacts that he's collected during his adventures and has them out on display for you to ooh and ah over. But not everything here is as innocent as it might seem, and that's because this bar is enchanted. Depending on which special libations you order, that'll determine what different effects will be triggered around the bar. For example, you might find the volcano outside getting ready to blow, or if you're sitting around the bar top, you might start asking yourself, am I shrinking, or is the stool I'm sitting on messing with me? As far as eats are concerned, you definitely come here more for the atmosphere and drinks, not necessarily the food and food alone. But that doesn't mean you're not going to find a decent variety of options here. The entrees are all very tropical heavy with options like poke bowls and sweet and spicy chicken wings, takoyaki, which is fried octopus, and tonkatsu ramen in a pork-based broth. So if you're not big on the Polynesian-inspired food, you're not going to have a whole lot to choose from here, although I will say the fried green beans are amazing. Now, until 8 p.m., this restaurant is available for the whole family to experience, but only guests 21 and over are allowed in afterwards. Because this lounge is so incredibly popular for out-of-towners and locals alike, this is actually one of the few lounges you can now make advanced dining reservations for. The reservation system for Trader Sam's started up shortly after it reopened, post-2020 closures. The Disneyland website highly recommends making ADRs for Trader Sam's because this place gets real busy. You can make Trader Sam's reservations the same way you can any other table service reservation on property by going to the Disneyland website or the Disneyland app 60 days before your trip. But if you don't happen to get a reservation for this one, you can still try your luck with the bar's walk-up waitlist. The outdoor dining waitlist opens at 11 a.m., but won't give you all that fun, mystical immersion that's going on inside the bar. If you want to aim to dine and drink inside this interactive lounge, then you'll want to get on that walk-up waitlist when it opens around 4 p.m. Pros here, wonderfully immersive theming the original Trader Sam's Tiki Bar, fun spirits, lighter tropical eats to enjoy, and best for those who can't get enough of the Jungle Cruise ride. Cons, this place gets packed out and seating is very limited. It's not best for families looking for a late-night dining experience since guests under 21 aren't allowed in after 8, and not many food options if you're not a fan of Polynesian-themed eats. Rating for this one, though, I'm going to put it at a 9.5 out of 10, and that 0.5 is just because it gets real crowded in there. Alright, did you find any options on this list that you know you're going to want to prioritize? Then don't forget to make those advanced dining reservations before your trip. That's going to open up for you 60 days before your vacation officially begins. And keep checking back here with us as we continue to review all the different Disney restaurants from both the East and the West Coast. Don't forget, if you want a downloadable copy of today's list, send us your email at disneyfoodblog.com/bestdisneylandmeals, and we'll get that PDF sent to you faster than you can say it's chow time. Thanks for listening, everyone, and thanks for watching. As always, this is AJ for Disney Food Blog, and we'll see you real soon.